I'm here to talk to you today about my top favorite weight loss recipes. Ready to learn about some fast, easy ways to cook for keto that anyone can do, any level of skill. Air fryers are so great because you literally can just get away with putting the food in there. I most of the time just spray the inside with a coconut or avocado or olive oil just so the food doesn't stick. And then I make things like air fryer salmon, air fryer chicken thighs, broccoli, Brussels, cauliflower, and you can have this food ready so quickly with an air fryer, and it gives that nice crispness to whatever you're making. And so it just speeds up your whole process. And literally you can just look at the outside of the air fryer. It's got a chicken leg on there, a fish symbol, a vegetable symbol, and you just hit that button once you turn it on, and it sets it for the right time, the right temperature. And then when you hear it beep, you just open up the drawer. You might be flipping it if it's a piece of meat or protein, and then you might put it back in again. You know, you have to check for doneness because of course it all depends on the size of the piece of meat. This is a fantastic way of creating great keto meals without even messing up, you know, a whole bunch of pans, having to make sure you have all the ingredients for the recipe. So what I recommend that people do is find a flavor profile or two that you like. For example, you might like Italian flavors, so you could get some Italian seasoning. You might like a blackened seasoning, which is my favorite for salmon. Just go to the spice section of your grocery store, your health food store, and look for rubs. They're fantastic to use because they're already pre-made. You can get pretty much any flavor, Cajun, Mexican, Chipotle, whatever seasoning style that you like, you can get a rub, and you can use that for any type of, like I said, salmon or chicken legs. I will also share a link in the description box below for a subscription service that I use to get all of my quality proteins in once a month in a box. I get to select the number. You can select the number of people in your household that will be eating from it, and it's very affordable. Starting as low as $149 a month, you get all of the protein that you need for the month. And then all you have to do is buy your fresh veggies and produce. So it really helps, and it keeps your cost to a set amount, and you can vary it up. And they have seafood, chicken, pork, sausages. Some of the meat is pre-made and pre-seasoned, which makes it really convenient when you're busy, and you can just go in there and slice off some marinated beef, for example. Anyway, you do need to have vegetables, right? And I did mention that you could do any cruciferous vegetables, which you may already know are super healthy for losing weight, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. And so, you know, just cleaning them and chopping off the ends and chopping things roughly. You can just season with salt, pepper, and your favorite oil, such as olive or avocado oil, coconut oil. Toss that around. You can add some of the rub in there if you like that flavor, or some smoked paprika, even some garlic, and toss that around in a bowl first and then throw it in that air fryer. And again, you can use that spray oil so that your veggies don't stick, okay? And then you can enjoy delicious vegetables. You can make a huge batch and have some for the next day. When you're not having those cruciferous, a lot of times what I share with my clients is if you could have salad every single day and you're happy with that, have salad. You know, having a healthy, high-fat salad is a great way to lose weight, and it's also a great way to get a lot of different elements into salads that you may not be used to. I'm a big proponent of variety. I believe it is the spice of life, and many of us grew up having a salad that consisted of, you know, iceberg lettuce and tomatoes and onions, and it just left a bad taste, for lack of a better term. What I encourage you to do is try different greens. You know, look around the greens, look at spinach, romaine, curly leaf, at sprouts, sprouted broccoli, sprouted radish. Perhaps try some arugula or watercress. These are things that have different flavors, different textures, And our body needs that variety, okay? It's not just, because of our interest and wanting to keep ourselves from getting bored, but our body doesn't like to have the same foods over and over again. In order for our digestion to be robust, we need to give it different things. And we also need different minerals and vitamins that come packed into these delicious leafy greens that we often avoid. So changing it up is going to change up and increase the power of your gut microbiome, which means your digestive system will be more ready to boost your immunity and to also be more robust so that you can have a great digestion no matter what your age, okay? So I do prefer here to put a plug in for my local farmers and encourage you to go to farmers markets, because then you will be eating seasonally. You will be supporting the regenerative culture of local farmers that are really working the land and trying to get back to, really increasing the productivity of the soil and the quality of the foods that we eat. Another tool that I like for the kitchen is the good old school slow cooker. Crockpot is another term you may have heard. What I love this for is any type of roasts, soups, or ribs, okay? It's getting into that fall season when the weather gets crisp and cold, and chilies and soups and ribs and stick to your ribs kind of food are standard for this season and going into winter for those of us that have 4 seasons where we live. So this again couldn't get much easier. So I'll just give you my favorite example. I like St. Louis ribs. And so I will get a rack of ribs. I will just go into my cupboard and pick from many different rubs that I purchase. I'm kind of a little bit of a rub fanatic. I have, I think, Cajun. I have one that's specifically for brisket. I have blackened seasoning. So I have a bunch of flavor profiles, and I just go in there and see what I feel like that day. I take my ribs out of the package, I wash them, I dry them, and then I spread them out on the counter, and I go ahead and coat them completely in a delicious rub. Then I turn on my air fryer, I turn on my crock pot, and I set it to high, and I set it to 4 hours. And I cut those ribs. Now again, this depends on the size of your crock pot, but I cut those ribs into 3 or 4 bones per section. I try to make sure they can all lay flat somewhat. And then I put them in there. I put a little bit of ghee butter in the bottom just to give a nice rich base. There's a lot of fat on ribs, so you really don't need too much, and you really don't need it. You can also just throw a little coconut oil in the bottom, just to be on the safe side. And then I set my own timer for 2 hours so that in 2 hours I can go in there and flip those over, make sure they're getting cooked evenly. And then around that time, if you enjoy barbecue sauce, you can use one of the many different brands that are out there now with no sugar added. We don't want to buy those products that have soy, canola, and any vegetable oils really, because they tend to be GMO and they tend to increase fat in our body. They just have the wrong omegas in them for us to lose weight. And they often tend to be, because they're made from cheaper things like soy and corn, they tend to be GMO, which is chemicals we don't need in our body. So I go ahead and do that. I put that delicious barbecue sauce all over it. And then I close it down and I wait for the timer to run out, the other 2 minutes. So again, you can see how putting this in, even in the morning by 2 o'clock, you could have a midday lunch, or you could put it in at lunchtime and have it for dinner. And then you have it already portioned out into 3 or 4 bones, depending on your protein needs for the day. And you can portion it out to have a couple of favorite salads. I get my wild caught salmon, and again, I take it out of the package, dry it off, coat it in blackened seasoning both sides, because I totally recommend that you eat that salmon skin if you're not grossed out by it. And go ahead, coat it, spray the inside of your air fryer, put it in, press the setting for fish, and walk away. Come back. If those are thin, You probably only need to turn them over for a couple minutes, and I would make sure you crisp up that skin. It's delicious that way. Okay, so that's my blackened salmon that I put on top of what I now affectionately call Dee's healthy high-fat salad base. And I will include details on this in the description box below. But basically, you're looking at a plate, a nice big round plate with 4 to 6 cups of mixed greens. If you're not a big fan of salad and you don't like those big leaves and that, you can use a scissor and you can go ahead and cut your salad down. Try some different greens mixed together, add some sprouts in there, increase the power of your digestion, and you will add things like a 1/4 cup of walnuts, which have complete omegas. You don't need a supplement if you have a 1/4 cup of walnuts per day. You could also put MCT oil or olive oil on top of your salad. You can put an entire small avocado diced up, or a half of a large avocado. You can also use cheese crumbles. I'm a big fan of going, cow's milk free, so I like to use goat cheese crumbles. Those are my favorite. You could also use feta cheese. There's so many varieties. Try not to get the fat-free ones because we want that healthy fat. And then as far as dressings, I love Primal Kitchen. I love Dr. Bragg's. These have olive oil or avocado rather than, even some of the health food companies have their own brands that are good, but they're using those cheaper oils. So really check out your dressings and your condiments. And if they have soy, canola, or vegetable oils, just either, get rid of them now and just start fresh with the healthiest oils you can get. And so there you should have a nice healthy complement along with your nice delicious salmon, or maybe it's your chicken thigh that you crisped up in the air fryer. You have delicious meals, super easy. You can probably, depending on the size of your air fryer, do about 4 pieces of that blackened salmon inside of there. So you've got 4 now meals going forward. And maybe you don't want to have salad with that every day, but you can go ahead and have your Brussels or your cauliflower, whatever you roasted in the air fryer. So some ideas and strategies about how you can make keto cooking simple for yourself and still have it be delicious. Please like this video, share it with somebody who could benefit, and I will definitely be doing some more videos on some of my seasonal favorites that are super simple that you can incorporate into your routine, because as you know, I do not believe this should be a diet that has a beginning and an end date, but more of a lifestyle where you get to enjoy food, enjoy cooking, and it's not a big hassle. So anyway, thank you so much. Stay happy and healthy. Until next time.